Take it away.
Hello from your favorite Grasslands PR team. Today we're back with another season and another reason why these overlooked and underappreciated ecosystems are objectively the best biome. I'm Rachel.
I'm Nicole.
And I'm Allan. And I thought we'd start out this beautiful season of incredible grasslands ahead of us with a vacation.
Whoa.
Do you guys want to take a vacation with me today?
Sure.
Awesome. We're going to go to a dreamy place and a part of the world that we have yet to cover on this podcast. A country full of breathtaking landscapes whose ecology is influenced in equal parts by a highly active geology and a vibrant, bustling society. We are going to Japan.
Oh.
Yes.
Nice.
Okay, so Japan is obviously a very large and very ecologically diverse country. So specifically, we're going to take this trip to one of Japan's original national parks. It is called Aso-Kuju. It is centrally located in the Kumamoto Prefecture on the southernmost of Japan's Big Four islands, which is, of course... Oh.
I think I resisted learning about Japan to avoid being seen as a weeaboo.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sorry.
that all changes today.
Great.
Kyushu.
time.
Kyushu, the southernmost island of Japan. The big one. Obviously, there's thousands of islands in Japan. It's like a big archipelago. But the big one, that's to the south. Why are we talking about this place? Okay, of all the places in the world? Well, firstly, because this is a great example of the kind of like really geologically active landscape that Japan is known for. The Aso-Kuju grassland is actually nestled in one of the largest terrestrial caldera volcanoes on Earth.
Whoa.
So
okay.
it is a volcanic grassland, which gives it a unique ecology. Secondly, this park is home to some of the largest grasslands in Japan. So it's a good reflection of like Japan's like typical grassland structure, what kind of wildlife they have, as well as like the social and economic importance of grasslands to Japan. It's this national park is actually designated by the UN as a globally important agricultural heritage system because it is not just like a preserve, it is a grassland that is in use, right? Okay.
Cool.
And finally, it's a really good example, I think, of how human-managed grasslands serve the larger community. Okay. So that, which is something that I didn't kind of initially expect to think so much about during this episode, but as I looked into more about what conservation is like in Japan, I was really kind of intrigued by this philosophical approach that they have to land management that they call Satoyama. It is we'll get in more into that towards the end of the episode in terms of what that is and what it means, and how it's quite a bit different from how we see things in the United States. Mm-hmm. But it's all in all, it's a good example of how grasslands are, as always, human habitats, right? And how we depend on their health as an ecosystem. So we're going to use this as a case study for all that.
Very fun.
Yes. I also hope this will just be a very good vibes episode to start our year on. If you look at pictures of this place, it's kind of funny because it's I've obviously never been there, but there's still something nostalgic about it. Sure. Because it is precisely the kind of landscape that you see depicted with great that's really cherished and in so much Japanese media, right?
Sure, yeah.
So you've got these green grass-covered mountains, these windswept fields of wildflowers, these towering clouds. It is very like Studio Ghibli, you know. It's like that kind of landscape. Actually, Princess Mononoke was set on the island of Kagoshima, which is just south of where this is. So that movie, very much a good example of the kind of landscape we're talking about here, right? Okay, so we will...
Allan just showed us a screenshot from Princess Mononoke.
Yes. Right, we're talking like, ooh, pretty grasslands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Riding
Good
your
stuff.
Impala through the fields.
Yeah, buddy, and your giant wolf.
Yeah. Can't forget the wolf.
Sorry.
All right. So I think the most important thing to talk about first is that we geek out about volcanoes for a while, because this is an integral part of understanding this ecosystem. And as I was writing this up, I was thinking, you guys have both been to volcanoes, probably, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. Inactive
Yes.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been to at least one where like the mud was boiling
Dang.
during
okay.
our hike. Yeah.
Was that in Iceland?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very fun.
Wild. Okay.
There were little sheep hoof prints around the boiling mud and, you know,
Really?
hot, please don't touch the boiling mud. Yeah.
like, how close do they let you get to it? Like,
There's no fences.
Nice.
We just hiked up there.
God dang.
We-
Okay.
My group didn't have consistently good footwear for that hike, so we didn't make it to the top. We did have to turn around, but yeah.
Okay. So you had to, this was like, okay. So you had to go up and like into, like, you went up to like the edge of a crater, basically. Is that? Or,
We just like hiked up the slope a little bit, and there was
okay.
boiling mud on the way up the slope.
God, that's wild. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Yeah. Iceland, obviously, lots of active volcanoes. Nicole, you've also been to, I think I've seen a picture of you in the middle of a volcano.
Yeah.
Where was that?
A caldera.
A caldera, okay.
An active volcano.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
not standing in lava, as cool as I am. But yes, yeah, that was in the Azores.
Okay. Right on.
Yeah, which is, volcanic islands. So
Yeah. And it was also very grassy and nice, it looked like. Yeah.
it is. And when you stand at the edge of it, you feel like you're going to get blown off the mountain. So exciting.
Yeah. Honestly, that is probably like a pretty similar kind of ecosystem structurally to what we're going to talk about today. That, you know, that grassy caldera kind of environment. I haven't been to a volcano. I'll have to put it on my list here of cool things to see.
Get this man to a volcano.
Yeah.
Get me to a volcano.
He craves the hot and the cold.
Yes, yes.
It's like I don't think there's anything. There are dormant volcanoes in the United States, but we don't have anything close to like an active volcano.
I just saw that they're monitoring Mount Rainier right now for increased volcanic activity.
Really? Right now?
Yeah.
Sick. Okay.
Well.
Well, you know, it is, and they do monitor these things like in great detail, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
For sure. They can wake up whenever.
Yes. You never know.
What were you going to say, Nicole?
Oh, I was just going to say that I've been inside of a volcano that like was hollowed out. Like it was a cave system that you could hike down inside of.
Oh,
That was super cool.
Yeah.
It was extra terrifying being like inside of it, even though it hadn't been active in who knows how long. But it's like, if I was on top, I might be able to run away. But I'm inside of it right now.
The angry guts of the earth.
Yes.
Hell yeah. Amazing. Okay. See, I want that kind of experience. And this is, you can get that kind of experience here at the Aso-Kuju Grasslands. Japan's geography, obviously heavily influenced by the interaction of tectonic movement. There's 4 big tectonic plates over there, and Japan actually has 10% of the world's active volcanoes.
Wow.
There's 111 of them in the country. Yikes. And according to the U.S. Geological Survey, by the way, an active volcano is just one that has erupted within the Holocene. So within the last 12,000 years or so, they
Well, then,
consider
I've
that
been
an
inside of an active volcano before.
God.
So they consider that an active volcano, and if it has the potential to likely erupt again. Okay. Now that might be on a scale of thousands of
Yeah.
years still, but might sneak up on you. That's why they keep an eye on it.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so the Aso Mountains, which are the centerpiece of this national park, are a group of active volcanoes themselves. The explosive activity of that volcano system has basically shaped this entire landscape. The island of Kyushu itself is loaded with active fault zones. I looked at a diagram in this paper. That's my main source here. It's which it's at the bottom of my notes. I'll mention it before the end. There's a diagram of all the active faults in this island, and it's like just bisected in all different sorts of ways. With this volcanic area being like right at the center of it. It's a convergent boundary, so that means you've got two plates that are moving towards each other, and you have the oceanic plate sliding under the continental plate. Okay, what that does is create something called subduction, which causes a lot of rock to melt and a lot of pressure to build up, and a lot of magma and gas to rise towards the surface, which means that these types of volcanoes tend to be the kind that explode violently, right? This is like they go boom, like big time. Okay, this isn't like the kind of like creamy like oozing volcanoes like that they have at like hotspots in Hawaii and stuff like that, right? Or like shield volcanoes. It's like a cataclysmic explosion that sometimes destroys the entire mountain.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And that kind of eruption has happened quite a bit in this area. There's 4 major eruptions that formed this particular area. The most recent significant one was called Aso-4, and it was 90,000 years ago. So no worries. It's all in the past. There is still the Kuju Mountains, which are much more active today. Those have been erupting, and they're very new volcanoes. And actually, one of those volcanoes is marked by the Japanese government as one of the more potentially dangerous volcanoes in Japan. But in the Aso Mountains, everything's like cooled off. Okay. It's all good. Those eruptions, those volcanic eruptions had huge pyroclastic flows, which altered the landscape and formed that whole lava plateau where the grassland exists now. Do you guys know what a pyroclastic flow is, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, really scary.
I used to have nightmares about it.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's basically it is a cloud of gas, ash, and rock that moves at about 800 miles an hour, shooting out of the earth.
Instant death.
Instant death. Yeah, like when there are high casualty volcano incidents, it's pyroclastic flows are what causes that.
That happened at Mount St. Helens.
Yeah, and I
it
think
killed at least one photographer or a geologist. It might have been functioning in both positions, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, they can be, they're extremely dangerous. I think, a famous historical example is probably like Pompeii, right? Mount Etna, where like there are people that were like just doing something and then bam, gone. And they're like still preserved archaeologically, because it happened so fast. So very scary. But also a huge impact on the landscape itself, because these eruptions put a huge amount of material out of the earth and into the landscape. The ejecta from these volcanic eruptions also goes very, very far. So it's like, we're talking about a huge like geographic area, and these volcanoes are just like shooting stuff everywhere.
Ejecta, what a good word.
It is. There's so many fun volcano words.
There really is.
Yeah.
Total side note. We can cut this out. But like, did you guys ever see that horror movie that was like a volcano-based survival horror movie where they just kind of took every single thing that can go horribly wrong when a volcano explodes and put it into one movie. And it was like the apocalypse for this like little group of people in a cabin.
I remember there being I remember in the 90s, there's one summer where 2 volcano movies came out. Volcano with Tommy Lee Jones.
Yes.
And Dante's Peak with Pierce Brosnan. And I think I saw both of them that summer in theaters, and it was awesome. I don't remember the movie you're talking about.
Oh,
It might have been one of those two.
It might have been one of those two. There's a scene where like the lava is slowly creeping through the subway and they're trying to make their way through the subway cars while they get slowly consumed and people are dying in the lava.
Okay, that sounds like Volcano. I think that one took place in New York.
Oh, and then one of the lakes turns into acid and it's like eating people alive as they try to escape.
Dang. Okay, yeah.
I've never seen this.
Yep.
Oh, I'm pretty sure that's why I was having volcano.
I was going to say, you sound like you're in a faraway place.
That sounds. Rachel, I'm sorry for unearthing this.
It's okay. You know, it exposed a lot of us to these phenomena you're talking about because they kind of just took every single volcano fact they could find that was horrifying and put it into one film to educate us.
And boy, did it. Did it ever. Well, I'm happy that you can, listener, join this education today in case you hadn't had the pleasure of watching a horrific volcano movie. This will be a good vibes episode still, though, I promise.
Okay, yeah.
We're just talking about volcanoes here because they're interesting.
Yeah. And you know what? As we've discussed many times on this podcast, grasslands love disturbance.
Yes.
Yes, they do.
Volcanoes seem very disturbing.
They
do, yeah. And they put a lot of, like, I'm sure you'll say it, but yeah, lots of good stuff in the soil.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, make it very fertile.
Yes.
Sounds like a great deal for a grassland.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're going to get to that in just a sec. Yes. So speaking of that volcanic material, Nicole, so like the last big eruption that happened, put 600 cubic kilometers of rock from inside the Earth's crust to, the surface. I was like 600 cubic kilometers. That's not that much. 600. Right.
I can't fathom
cubic
what that means.
Right. Cubic is important there. I had to go and look up, I did some calculations to figure out how much is this?
I was like, I'm not listening to what he's saying. So I'm trying to picture 600 cubic kilometers of material and I can't.
I can't even picture what a kilometer is.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, no, right. Yeah. We have no concept of this. It's a bunch. It's 1.2 quadrillion pounds of rock. So that is trillions, like hundreds of trillions of tons is what we're talking about. So it's not a small amount. It's 600 cubic kilometers. Seems like a small number. It's a huge amount of rock that is shot really fast out into the Earth's surface.
What percentage of the moon would that be?
I actually looked up how much the Earth weighs, and the Earth weighs, I think it's in the septillions of pounds.
Jesus. Okay.
So this is like a good chunk. This is a good chunk. Okay.
I can't picture it.
I still can't. Yeah.
I know. Really big numbers.
Quadrillion pounds. Okay. That's a number that exists.
I know.
I'm sure.
We need to express this in how many school buses is that? This is how American measurements work.
Yeah. How many whales? How many blue whales?
How many whales? How many football fields?
Yeah.
Are we talking about?
I'm not gonna lie. I immediately went to how many crayfish would it take to move that much soil? I don't know, man.
That's a great point.
And how many years would it take them to move it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Dang. Well, this happens instantaneously.
Right.
So pretty good.
Oh, I had a question also.
Yes.
Is this average or is this where is this number coming from?
Yeah. So
are there volcanoes that are bigger and smaller, that move more material?
Yeah. There's stratovolcanoes come in all sorts of sizes and shapes. But this was a big eruption, like a globally or regionally significant eruption.
Gotcha.
This was the one that was large enough to form the caldera, right? Because you shoot out so much of that rock and magma from beneath the earth, you suddenly have a massive subterranean chamber below, and that causes the earth's crust to crumple. So you basically had a mountain gone.
Yeah.
And then now you have a gigantic bowl. And that's what we've got today. Over time, actually, some additional stratovolcanoes, little ones. Rachel, are you going down a rabbit hole over there by yourself?
I'm Googling how much the moon weighs.
Okay. You
Let us know.
You let us know when it's time.
Wait, how many pounds did you say?
I said
Tons.
1.2 quadrillion pounds.
Oh.
This is important.
I just need to picture it. Okay, how many... What percentage of the moon is
1.2 quadrillion pounds.
1.2 quadrillion pounds?
There you go.
It's doing all the conversions. Oh,
Yes,
thank
here
God.
we go. Let's go.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
Is
It's
this-
a very small
very
percentage
small
of the
percentage.
moon.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? That's okay.
For
That's
those,
so disappointing.
It
I wanted
is.
it to be.
I wanted it to
something
be a lot of
tangible.
the moon.
Guys, the moon is pretty damn big.
It
Okay,
is.
what percentage of Mount Everest? It is 0.0000552% of the mass of Mount Everest.
Cool.
That doesn't help me.
No.
How many blue whales is 1.6 quadrillion pounds?
So many blue whales.
Put it in.
4 billion blue whales.
That is a smaller number, 4 billion.
Yeah, I mean, they weigh like 200,000 pounds each, right? They're huge.
That part's not important. I just need to know blue whale.
I'm going to
So-
try and drive this van. I don't know where the
4
road is
billion
anymore.
blue whales.
It's crazy
We
that
got there.
instantaneously a mountain can eject 4 billion blue whales.
Worth of
Yeah,
material.
you know
That
what?
is impressive.
Yeah,
That is impressive. Yeah.
And I'm not doing the edit on this episode, so I don't care. R.I.P. guys. But that's great. That's a good. Thank you for expressing that in terms our brains can understand.
Yes.
Thank
Rachel.
you. I still
Yes.
can't
Thank you.
comprehend 6 billion blue whales, but that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Rating, it's an image.
It's an image.
Oh, God.
Whew, good stuff. All right. Okay. As I was saying, over time, there's been some additional stratovolcanoes that have popped up in the caldera, as well as lots of little cinder cones, which are those little short, steep volcanoes. They're only a couple hundred feet tall. They're made of just like lava fragments.
That's so cute.
It is cute.
How wide are
cones.
they?
I'll show you a picture of one.
I've never heard of this before.
But the volcanic activity within the caldera itself has largely calmed down. There only inside the caldera, there's only Mount Nakadake, which is currently active in the sense that it has an active crater with like gas and ash rising out of it. There was a small like a phreatic eruption.
What?
So that means like no magma, just ash and gas shot out of it in
said that was-
2016.
Phreatic?
Phreatic, yeah.
How do you spell that?
Phreatic, phreatic. So not like there wasn't lava involved. And that was during the Kumamoto earthquake in 2016 that happened. So, Nicole, since you asked what a small volcano like that would look like, one of the more like beloved, like iconic features of this of Aso-Kuju is called Komezuka, which is the rice mound volcano. And it's that.
It's so cute.
It's only about 200. It's 260 feet tall.
Oh,
It's just a little guy, and it's totally covered in grass.
It looks like somebody took a ladle and just like put a little dimple in the top to make gravy.
Yeah. It just looks like a little. Yeah, it looks like rice, a little mound of rice on a plate.
incredible.
Yeah.
Side note, you mentioned gases, and that one volcano that I hiked into, on the outside of it, there was just little steam from the earth coming out. It was very scary.
Little plumes,
The more I
yeah.
think about it, the more scared I am that
That
happened.
is an active volcano, dude.
I know.
Yeah.
And we were just hiking around in there.
Yep. I mean, hey, this is a huge tourist attraction.
Oh,
Like,
it was
yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah,
Like there
oh,
was
yeah.
a whole lake down there. Like it was incredible.
Yeah. Nice.
6 billion blue whales. instantaneously. Oh, geez. Okay.
Amazing. Okay. That volcano that I just showed you, Komezuka, it's only 3,300 years old. Just a little, I mean, in terms of geologic time, just a little baby.
Yeah.
Little baby.
Wow.
So, as we said, all of this volcanic activity, extremely important. We're not just talking about volcanoes because volcanoes are neat. It's extremely important. It has a major impact on, as Nicole alluded to earlier, the parent material of the soil. So let's remember some dirt stuff. Dirt, also very cool, right, guys?
There's a whole episode on it.
We do. We had a whole episode on it. Let's review. There are 12 soil orders. Name any of them.
Aerosol.
That's close to one.
Aerosol.
Aridosols is one.
That's what I said.
What you got, Nicole?
The one that grasslands often are on starts with an M.
It does.
Modal.
Nope.
Mollisols.
There we go. Yep. Very good. All right. I
Great
feel
work.
like this is a win for me as an educator.
Aw.
Okay. The rarest of those 12 soil orders, though, globally, is called andosols. Okay. It's derived from the Japanese word ando, meaning black. Okay.
It's all coming back to me.
They only make up about 1% of the world's soil.
Is that here?
No, it's not really here. In Kansas?
No, I meant in our vacation.
Oh, yeah. Oh, here, because we're on vacation.
Yeah,
Yes.
in Japan, where the word
Yeah.
originates.
Yeah, guess what? In Kyushu, it makes up 66.7% of the soil.
Whoa.
Okay. This globally rare soil type makes up the majority of soil in Kyushu. Andosols, of course, are distinguished by a high proportion of volcanic material in them, especially things like volcanic glass, which gives them a very high capacity for water retention, very good permeability, a very high organic content, and an ease of cultivation. These volcanic soils help form these grasslands and volcanic lakes, but also have a huge ecological service to the people of the region. Okay. The abundance of rainwater that gets stored in the lakes, springs, and grassland groundwater within this caldera actually feeds the headwaters of 6 different rivers on Kyushu.
Wow.
And creates a watershed that supports 2.3 million people.
Dang.
Wow.
So they often call this like the Department of the Ministry of the Environment in Japan calls the Aso-Kuju the water jug of Kyushu because there is so much. It is so vitally important for the communities there.
Wow. I didn't realize it retained that much water.
Yeah.
Volcanic soils.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah,
I never thought about the fact that just a big bowl that collects water.
Big bowl, right? Yeah. I like that. This is like ecology, guys, right?
Yeah.
This is you've got nature's destructive, tumultuous forces giving way to these lush, abundant regions. It's very cool.
And then popping out spring water and stuff from the ground when it's just like full of water.
And there are a lot of hot springs as well, heated by magma in this area.
That's fun.
Oh,
sounds
hell
pretty
yeah.
dope. Yeah, I would love to try that sometime.
There was supposedly one at the top of our hike that we never made it to.
Oh, shoot. Dang. Didn't wear the right shoes. Yeah.
Nope. We got to get Allan to one of these really cold places where you can like get in a geothermally heated hot spring while it's actively snowing and freezing his beard.
Yes.
God, that sounds amazing.
You can be like those little
That
monkeys.
really sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the snow monkey. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
I bet even Becky would be into that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
She'd never leave the water, but
No.
And you don't have to. That's the joy of it. Yeah. Okay. So that is in essence that is like the bedrock, the foundation of this region, that all that volcanic activity. So now let's shift gears and talk about what's living there. Okay, in Japan, we're going to talk about the flora and fauna of Aso-Kuju specifically, but let's talk about Japan in general first. It's a place with a high rainfall climate and really no extensive dry periods. That means most of Japan sees as like sort of their predominant ecosystem would be like a dense temperate rainforest is what should occur there naturally, right? That would be like the normal successional endpoint for a large swath of Japan, would be that temperate rainforest. However, when you have a active volcanic region like Aso, you get a lot more disturbance, and also it is a managed grassland, a highly managed grassland that has helped keep it intact. The term for Japanese grasslands, I often saw in documents that would discuss grasslands, they would often term them as semi-natural, indicating that like they exist because of consistent disturbance. Nowadays, human applied disturbance is what they continue to exist.
Sure.
But these grasslands did occur naturally at one point as well within this volcanic region.
So they're not just secondary grasslands that exist solely because of human interference.
Right. Although they are like largely today they are now.
Yeah.
But there is like, according to like phytolith and charcoal records, we can sort of tell what actually occurred here naturally. And at one point, like 13,000-ish years ago, they saw that this grassland was largely dominated by zoysia grass, dwarf bamboo, and Suzuki grass, which is also called like Japanese pampas grass. Oh. That would be like that, and that third one there, the Suzuki, would be the dominant grass of this ecosystem.
Gotcha.
Okay, cool.
All the gaseous eruptions of the that were happening inside the caldera would make it difficult for sunlight to penetrate.
Oh,
so that is also a part of what would help, manage or maintain the level of productivity that was happening.
that's fun.
Yeah. In terms of like a visual reference, because like I said, Suzuki grass being the dominant, even still today, the dominant grass species in Aso-Kuju. If you are looking in your mind for a visual reference of what Suzuki grass looks like,
please.
If you've ever played any video game set in Japan where there is a confrontation in a field of grass, it's that grass.
Nice.
Like seriously, no.
Oh.
I brought examples.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh.
It's that grass.
The big feathery guys.
Sekiro. That's the grass.
Nice.
Neo. That's the grass.
Oh.
Right? It is. This is what it looks like in real life. It is. You've got these big feathery seed heads, very fluffy, very brushy. Just absolutely carpets the landscape there.
It's fairly tall. It's like a mid-height grass, it looks like.
Yeah. It is. It's nice.
I guess it's wet there, so yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed, yeah. So that being the main vegetation type, there are actually 600 different types of plants and flowers identified in this ecosystem. So it is, florally diverse, even though there are like certain, obviously structurally like dominant plants. So quite a bit of diversity. You've also got on the animal side, you've got 350 species of bird that come through here, including grassland specialists like the Japanese reed bunting, or which is also known as the ochre-rumped bunting.
Ochre-rumped.
Ochre.
I love it. Oh, that's so good. Okay.
You've also got 115 species of butterfly, as well as lots of other kind of iconic insects. You've got like dung beetles. You have the akatonbo, which is the Japanese red dragonfly, aka the autumn darter. After emerging, these dragonflies will migrate up into the mountains. That's where they feed on stuff, and then they come back down to the grasslands to breed. Sometimes they'll like they often make breeding pools in like rice paddies and things like that. Yeah, so kind of an iconic insect there. And you also have 33 kinds of mammals, including, this is one of the animals I wanted to highlight with this. the Japanese seirao. Seirao?
Oh, that's like a deer, right?
It is not even close to a deer.
Okay, my bad.
Do you know what it is, Nicole? It's a goat antelope.
Okay, got a similar body shape.
It's a bovid, but yeah, it is.
Not everything's a deer.
It's an ungulate.
Yeah,
It's an ungulate. An even-toed ungulate.
You're right, though. We've talked about goat
Basically a
antelopes.
camel.
Yes, and how not deer like they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll show you a picture because this is like I think they classified this as being like a national animal of Japan. This seirao on these grasslands. They're also called kamoshishi. And they actually have a ton of like names. There's like a ton of like regional nicknames that are applied to these animals, which translate to all sorts of fun things, such as mountain sheep, wool deer, foolish beast, cow demon, and idiot.
Oh, no, that's so mean.
But I think it's like said lovingly. Like how many times do we call like a bird a dork or something on this podcast?
Yeah,
you
you're
know?
right.
Yeah.
You're right. Love it when you can roast your favorite animal.
Yeah.
Aw.
These seirao, they have very bushy fur, short backwards curved horns. They are powerful sprinters and very sure-footed climbers as well. There's one in the snow.
It does look like a mountain goat with a bit of a deer face.
Yes, it does. It
looks kind of wolfy too.
Yeah, it's weirdly wolfy. I think it's the fur texture.
The coat,
Yeah.
is very bushy, very wolfy. Yeah.
If it had a long tail, oh.
Yeah.
And you can see those. They've got those big what do they call them? Like the post-orbital glands or the big orbital glands on their face that they mark territory with. Apparently it has a very sweet and sour smell to it. Very distinctive smell. There's a seirao on a stamp, cementing that national.
He looks kind of scary there.
Yeah, the illustration. I understand why what do you call it? A cow demon?
Yeah.
Cow demon, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, look, you see any kind of goat or sheep in the dark. Ooh, buddy.
Oh, yeah. That's very
Yeah.
demonic.
That's fair.
And a bit of a national animal. And students will actually buy charms marked with seirao hoof prints for good luck.
Oh.
Especially if they're like, taking a test or something like that. That's kind of like their version of a rabbit's foot, I think.
And doesn't even involve killing it.
Yeah, because they're steady, they're capable, good, solid goat antelope.
I was picturing, you said probably, and I immediately pictured someone just like with just a goat leg, just stamping over and over again.
Well,
That is probably what they're doing.
Probably.
Yeah, but
Maybe not. I don't know.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Goats-
Do they eat them?
goats die of natural. They have been hunted historically. Yeah, I don't know if they're still. I don't know if there's still like a game animal today, but they have been in the past. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
They look very edible. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, yeah, buddy. Okay. There's also, and also just obviously despite the human management, the human impacts happening in this area, there's still a lot of uniquely adapted species in these grasslands that are, for which this is like a critical habitat, right? The other animal that I wanted to highlight in this section is falls into that category. It's the large shijimi blue butterfly that thrives in the Aso-Kuju. Its life cycle is as is often the case, dependent on one particular toxic shrub called Sophora flavescens. That is its host plant, which fortunately, because the cattle that are in this area don't eat that, being toxic, so that helps. But there's still lots of with threats from potential grassland degradation and just habitat loss to this butterfly. I also found a study that was kind of interesting. They actually found that this butterfly fares better in managed grasslands than it does in sanctuaries. The reason being because its main predator, a parasitoid wasp, called T. chylonis, they parasitize the eggs, right? But the larva of this, since it's a grasslands butterfly, the larva pupate underground. So when there are burns, underground butterfly pupating survives. Eggs on leaves that are parasitized burn away. That is actually it impacts the parasitoid greater than the pupating the next generation of butterflies there. So which is interesting. Yeah. So that's like, when they're overwintering. So kind of an interesting detail there. Also lots of unique wildflowers in this area that are like specific, kind of endemic to this region. The Kyushu azalea is one that grows up on mountainsides. And these are like culturally important flowers because there is sort of every year and something they have to like manage or like protect the wildflowers for is something called Obon, which is a festival of remembrance for the dead, in which it is common to like pick flowers and pick wildflowers. So yeah, it's lots of animals here that have like a cultural significance to the region in these grasslands. See. Oh, yes. Also, I just wanted to point out, and maybe we can share some of these images, but on the Japanese Ministry of the Environment, on their page for this area, they have these like Japanese style watercolor illustrations of these animals, and I just thought they were really pretty. This is you've got a harvest mouse and an eastern buzzard there, and then here you've got there's the Japanese red dragonfly, the Shijimi blue. So you've got
that beetle.
Yeah, I thought these were really cool. This is like a fun way of them, instead of just showing a photo, a nice illustration that they had for those.
Yeah. Aw.
Ecologically rich, geologically rich. Let's talk about the last thing, which is the value of these grasslands to their community. So, there is as we've sort of said, a tremendous amount of restoration work that goes into these semi-natural grasslands, right? It takes constant management to ensure that these grasslands are able to provide ecosystem services. This management, in fact, has been going on in this region for thousands of years. Okay, there is a long history to the Aso-Kuju. There are actually on the plains here, you can find the quarters of Buddhist monks who used to make a pilgrimage to what they called Hinoyama, the Mountain of Fire. And you also have archaeological evidence of people coming here to take advantage of rich deposits of things like ochre and obsidian for like prehistoric art and decoration.
Wow.
So there have been people using this space for a very long time, and modifying that space for a very long time. So, protecting, just like with any grassland, protecting it is a challenge because it is such a human altered environment. There's a lot of people that live in Japan. Their population density is like 10 times higher than the United States. So a lot of people there. And it takes a lot of effort to maintain that, like the functionality, the character, the heritage of a place like this. Yeah. So that brings us to this kind of like philosophy that seems to run through a lot of Japanese conservation activities. Like they understand the worth of this. Like they price like in the tens of billions of yen in terms of how much ecosystem service you get from this landscape through water, soil, pollinators, all that. So how do they manage it alongside people so well? It comes from this really like kind of delicate management approach to like honor the traditional landscape, which is called Satoyama. Okay, Satoyama, it means like mountain village, right? So like it's sort of like the interspace, like the interaction between the human environment and then like the mountains, which would be like the other extreme, the wild, the naturalistic, right?
Gotcha.
The goal of the Satoyama approach is to maintain a landscape mosaic that intentionally provides ecosystem services. So it's like another term they had for it was like a traditional socioeconomic like production landscape. Okay. So we're talking about like things where you'd have a mix of grasslands, rice paddies, pastures, ponds, lakes, villages, timber plantations, all of that directly alongside old growth forest, mountainous areas, things like that, sort of in a patchwork quilt, okay, functionality, all of it interacting in really close proximity.
It feels very biosphere.
Yeah.
It does, yeah. It focuses on, like we said, it focuses on not just the fact that it becomes like productive for humans, but also that it remains a provider of biological services and habitat for flora and fauna. Like
Sure.
that's the stated intention of organizing in this way.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be either or.
Right.
Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Around 40% of the Japanese landmass is dedicated to these Satoyama areas. So it's like it accounts for a tremendous amount of the habitat that they have. In recent years, there's been a struggle to keep up with the speed of development. And some portions of these Satoyama environments are degrading a bit, but there is like an ongoing national effort to monitor and revitalize them. My Neighbor Totoro, to reference another Studio Ghibli movie, that takes place in a Satoyama. Okay. In the Saitama prefecture. So it is exactly that kind of like rural area that is right alongside all these other natural spaces, right? You've kind of got like the very modern and the very primeval, like right next to each other. That was kind of what that whole movie was about, right? So yeah. In like I said, so they're restoring these Satoyamas, and in Aso-Kuju itself, there has been a really robust grasslands restoration team that is citizen led since 2005, and they do everything from data collection to harvesting and composting like cutting grass, to prescribed burns, to maintaining cattle out in the fields for like regenerative grazing. Okay, creating disturbance. So there's a lot that goes on out there. A final thought that I have on Satoyamas. Okay, just to contrast it with kind of our attitudes here. It feels like in the United States, we tend to see like developed space as no longer wild or no longer an ecosystem. And sometimes, like, yes, it can be a biological desert, but that is also often the consequences of our own design choices, right?
Yeah.
Our own, the things that we choose the way we choose to modify our spaces causes that. Like you said, it doesn't have to be either or. There is another way to where you can have a better harmony between development and nature. I feel like also in the United States, we tend to place a really high degree of importance on untrammeled, right? Like wilderness.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is kind of silly because like we know archaeologically that like our own landscapes have been modified for millennia. Okay, in the United States, we just have this there's this very colonial attitude of like, oh, this is beautiful, untouched, like virgin wilderness, and this is and it has to be kept exactly like this, but it never was.
It never,
yeah, right. Like, between, indigenous peoples maintaining grasslands, doing burns, raising food forests, all of that, right?
Right. I mean, that goes back to like Lewis and Clark describing this landscape as a wild, untouched place, completely ignoring or not choosing to observe the fact that they were food forests created and cultivated by people.
Yes. Yeah, exactly, right. It's very silly, and it's a very colonial attitude. Yeah.
And it's also like ignoring the fact that because of colonization, we've introduced so many things to the landscape to the point where I don't think that even if it had been wild before, it cannot exist that way. You know, like even if that train of thought was true,
Right.
we've erased the capacity of the landscape to be wild anyway, because we have to manage what we've introduced that's wreaked havoc on everything, all these invasive species, and so
we've talked about that in the past on the pod, and like how we have a tendency in America to set aside certain spaces, but then those tiny little pockets aren't connected to anything else. Like they can't exist by themselves anymore. Yeah. Because they're so disconnected.
Yeah. But like we feel like we've satisfied this idea of like, well, we conserved something, so let's raise everything else to the ground.
Yes. Yeah. We have, you know, you've got a few 1,000 acres of tall grass prairie. I mean, everything there is, because there's no connectivity, it's like, well, it's kind of ecologically extinct, right? Because it doesn't serve the same purpose as it used to. But hey, it's still there, you know? So it's it's a very different philosophy. It's a very different idea. In Japan, they seem a lot more aware, probably because it has been like continuously occupied for so long. They seem a lot more aware of the fact that humans are a part of the ecosystem. We're not something else. Okay. They are much more accepting of the fact that ecosystem services, as a lot of the Satoyama literature puts it, are co-created by nature and human intervention. Okay. So it is like, you know, they are very much, they play a role in helping that ecosystem function. That is like the view. Sure. Okay. Yeah. And that humans living alongside nature in a deeply connected way is absolutely essential. Which I think is a beautiful sentiment. Yeah, and I you know, it seems to stand in stark contrast to a lot of the attitudes that we have over here. So I just think that's an interesting thing. Like, you know, if you thought about how, you know, our own agricultural ecosystems how they're managed, I mean, you know, there's a push to try and get, you know, to have them managed for things like, you know, habitat and, you know, to try and promote, you know, some of the more the original structure of those grasslands, you know, that have been overgrazed and fenced off and everything. There is like that. There is initiatives to do that, but you know, the attitudes were so different for so long that it's, you know, it's a little bit more of a challenge over here. Yeah. So.
And that interconnectedness, like if everyone is connected to nature, obviously not everyone, but if a large majority of the population is connected to nature in that way, like that naturally will foster a love for nature and continue to want to have that connection. So, absolutely. Yeah. Powerful stuff.
That's why My Neighbor Totoro is my favorite Studio Ghibli movie. Oh, that's the whole message of that movie, right? You know, getting the, you know, post-war generation of kids to reconnect with nature. And it was healing for them, and it was healing for the adults as well. And like, that's a beautiful story. And it's like, you know, it's very reflective, I think, of some of those philosophies that they have towards the way people interact with nature in Japan. So, yeah. So that is the Aso-Kuju grassland. Please go look at pictures of it online. It is gorgeous. It's very dreamy. It's a quality grassland. And let's all go visit someday.
I'm ready.
Cool.
Not that I can afford it, but figure it out.
Yeah, you know, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Work in progress.
Thank you, Allan. And thank you for listening. The Best Biome is produced through our nonprofit GrasslandGroupies, dedicated to inspiring the conservation of grasslands. In the show notes, you can find our website, phone number, and social media accounts. If you enjoyed the show and want to support us, tell your friends about us and leave a review on Podchaser, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. We couldn't do this without your support. See you again in 1 month.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, how many
zeros is that? I don't know.
Okay, wait.
It's like 1 times 10 to the 15th, I think.
And 10 to the 19th
would be an extra 4 zeros.
8.1 times 10 to the 19th is 18 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Is that
5,
in the
6, 7, 8, 9,
quintillions?
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Divided by how many? That's tons. Oh no, I don't know what that means. I have a big number. Oh, I did it backwards.
Yeah, you did.
Times